Welcome to the second gathering of Red Loaf Teachers Network NextGen Summit. And whether you are from Lawrence, Louisville, Allendale, Aiken, the Navajo Nation, my former home city of Atlanta, or my current home in Vermont, I want to extend a warm and appreciative and enthusiastic welcome. Please don't underestimate the power of this network. It is extraordinary, and I think has the real charisma in the network to change the world. We need you and your intelligence. We need you and your fearlessness. We need your commitment to being allies and advocates for social and educational change more than ever.
When we come together as youth, our voices are bigger than the voices that tell us that we don't have a voice. I think my biggest takeaway from the Navajo Nation trip was my ability to reflect. And I've noticed that I'm more aware of what I'm doing when I'm working on something or when I'm working with someone. I'm more aware of what I'm learning along the way and how I can use those things in the future. And also, I'm more aware of, why I'm doing things. Like, sure, I may set a goal, but there's no point in me, striving for that goal if I don't even know why I want that goal. So I think, every workshop that I attended, every person that I met in the Navajo Nation really helped me with my ability to reflect.
The third and final step is to kind of creatively put that all together. When we were in the Navajo Nation in March, that was the introduction of all the new people that were going to come and join NGLN. I'm from Lawrence, so it's like a very small town, like landscape-wise, it's 7 square miles, but the population is somewhere around like 80,000. So we have an advantage there. We have a small community who's so loving and supporting, so we can work on the fly. And when you have a network like NGLN where we're across the nation and across languages and cultures, that's been one of the biggest challenges of it all, is trying to understand and work with people on such a huge scale that none of us have ever been involved with. We're very used to our communities and we're getting to know our communities deeper on a day-to-day level. So when you're able to connect to what it seems like a more accurate representation of the country, that's amazing. And that's been such a learning curve for me that I'm so grateful to be a part of.
True, honest change in a community must begin with young people. And young people are the most powerful agents of social change. And so by developing young people as activists, as leaders, as literacy leaders and social justice leaders in that combination, giving them both the inspiration and the tools to share that inspiration with the world, we can make some real meaningful social justice change in our communities. The more that young people take the lead, the better. The Next Generation Leadership Network has given us some of the tools to help accelerate and expand this work.
If anybody needs help or has questions, anybody's confused, just ask me. I'm an open book, I don't bite. I also want to learn more about you guys, where you're from. I'm really excited to learn more about my leadership capabilities since I'm kind of still stepping into them. And I think this conference, as it plays out, I'm excited to see where I'll be compared to when I started the conference. It's a short amount of time, but still there are so many people here and you learn so many things that you walk away like a completely different person.
NextGen is the latest iteration of really how to not just do little projects, but deeply more substantive work. And here's the key, where the students are at the center of it, not just the adults and the English teachers.
I've always been teaching from a way that's been what they call universal design for learning. I think I grew up teaching that way because I knew that I learned and accessed the world differently, largely very visually, as a deaf and hard of hearing person. I think that Dixie and Andrea were especially interested in the roles I might be able to play in advancing the involvement of students with disabilities in the NextGen project.
What brought me to this program was the establishment of the NCHO program, or the Navajo Community Health Outreach Program, in 2015. We were given an essay write out an essay to see what interests we have and why we want to join this program. I mentioned that I believe that people with disabilities can be leaders as well. And our director of the program, actually Jim, he nominated me based on that sentence, which I find extremely spectacular. From then on, it was just a case of practicing what I preached to him, and I have.
I think since we come from such different communities, we all have a different understanding or definition of what diversity is. So I think this has been a really good opportunity for other sites who aren't as ethnically or racially diverse to really learn about the issues that are pressing our communities of color or of different sexual orientations and different life experiences in general. It's what we need now, and Dixie says all the time that you have to make the effort to intentionally talk across differences to create an atmosphere in a world that is better fit for all of us, no matter where we come from or what experiences we might have had. And that is something that I carry with me in whatever I do, whether it's academic, personal, or professional. I want people to understand that when you do meet somebody from another culture, another race or ethnicity, that you really need to let go of any preconceived notions of what they're struggling with, because our identities don't define us.
We have such different opinions and experiences. We have different languages. We have different ways of approaching advocacy in our local communities. But because Ford has invested in networking these very different sites, we are learning to communicate across difference with mutual respect. And if I'm not going to be embarrassed to say this, even with love. Every young person, especially in an economically distressed community and environment, must have access to a network of support like this, where they learn that they are capable of academic success, of civic engagement, and of relating to each other in a civil and respectful way. So that's what we're doing.
I teach for the South Carolina Department of Juvenile Justice. It's a great job because I come from a similar environment, at-risk single-parent home, so I can relate to the kids. My best teaching takes place after school. Once my kids go home, they tend to come right back. And when a kid tells me they're not coming back, I believe that kid. But they go back into this environment and they just forget they were incarcerated and they wind up coming right back. So I guess my job is to, as far as applying what I'm learning at Bread Loaf, I believe it'll be most effective is if I can create a program, a writing program, maybe collaborate with the local libraries, the local governments outside of the walls of DJJ.
I'm really excited to learn more about my leadership capabilities since I'm still stepping into them. And I think this conference, as it plays out, I'm excited to see where I'll be compared to when I started the conference. It's a short amount of time, but still there are so many people here and you learn so many things that you walk away like a completely different person.
I don't know what I expected. Boy, I've been blown away. And I actually think that NextGen is going to really up the ante for the whole future of BLTN.
The one major thing we've learned is the more we listen to the young people, the more we can adjust on the fly to move forward. I feel good about how far we've come over these last 2 years, but we have a long way to go, both in supporting the work at each site and developing ways and mechanisms so that the young people can work together across the sites directly with each other as much as possible.
Words can't really describe how much the Next Generation Leadership Network and how much the Bread Love Teacher Network has changed my life. The summer I came down here, when I left this campus, I was a completely different person. I had a completely different outlook on life. My work ethic and my demeanor, my passion, my drive, it was all elevated times 10 because I had finally found a group of adults and a group of young people who understood the struggle to be heard. Thank you all for sitting through this very long and hot presentation. Does anybody have any quick questions, thoughts, comments for any of us up here?